Read in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 38 in the King James Version. Then Shephatiah the son of Mattan, and Gedaliah the son of Pashur, and Jucal the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur the son of Malchiah heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, He that remaineth in the city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey, and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, This city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, We beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in the city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison, and they let down Jeremiah with cords. And in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire. Now when Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Ebed-melech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord, the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is. For there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Ebed-melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Ebed-melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords, and took him up out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. Then Zedekiah the king sent, and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, If I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king sware secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, As the Lord liveth, that he made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, If thou wilt assuredly go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burnt with fire, and thou shalt live in thine house. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. And Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, They shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord which I speak unto thee, so it shall be well unto thee, and thy soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord hath shewed me. And behold, all the women that are left in the king of Judah's house shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon's princes, and those women shall say, Thy friends have set thee on, and have prevailed against thee. Thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they are turned away back. So they shall bring out all thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shall be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and thou shalt cause the city to be burned with fire. Then said Zedekiah unto Jeremiah, Let no man know of these words, and thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, Declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death. Also what the king said unto thee, then thou shalt say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house, to die there. Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So Jeremiah abode in the court of the prison until the day that Jerusalem was taken, and he was there when Jerusalem was taken. Amen. Okay, so there was a lot here, sermon upon sermon. So there was already issues going on in the city, pestilence and fear, or famine and fear and rot. Listen to this, though. There's a reason, there's a particular reason that this is notated out, and there's always a particular reason that details are placed into the scripture where they are intended. You can start in verse 7, but we're going to start in verse 8. Ebed-melech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. And he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. It was that devastating. It was that famine. It was that they had been ransacked over and over again. They had been attacked over and over again to the point that there was no more. There was no more, not even bread. The people were starving. And who is this person? Verse 7. Now when Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs, which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Ebed-melech, and take note of him. Take note, because more of him is going to come as we continue. Because he's going to come back even in this book later on, a couple more chapters. And what was so in particular about Ebed-melech, the Ethiopian eunuch? He was not originally, as what could be gathered from what these words are saying, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, he may have not been originally from Israel or Judah. He was a eunuch. It may have been from war. It may have been a person that became a eunuch because of a battle that was lost and now was in the stranger's land. He was in the stranger's land. Or he could have been not that. He could have been a stranger and just became a eunuch to obtain some type of form of life in this time period. But he was a eunuch. And definitely read the definition of what a eunuch is. Here's a person that was considered on the outside, but had heard and had saw again, even through Jeremiah, the grace and mercy of the Lord. And knew and started to see what was right and what was wrong. May have saw it before, may have even seen it before this time. But this is a person that these people were self-righteous. There's no way that there could be any righteousness or any, grace and mercy and love and understanding and empathy coming from anybody else or anywhere else, right? And here's Ebed-Melech, an Ethiopian eunuch, who was in service to the king. And he saw what was wrong was wrong. It wasn't twisted for him. It wasn't perverted for him. He understood that what's good is good and what's bad is bad, and not the other way. Not what's bad is good and good is bad. Bringing past to present. Sometimes we can receive even from the outside, and we can see things, and we can see people, and we can see places, and we can see things that are what we perceive is there shouldn't be any type of following of what's good, what's right, what's bearing the fruits of the Spirit, because they're not perceived in your script. In our script, they don't look or feel or act a certain way. They don't talk a certain way, but yet they may reflect the Lord's love even more so at a time that's much needed. But yet we're looking on the outside. We're not even looking on the outside. We're not even looking at them as a person. We've built a script for ourselves, and our own self-righteousness deems the judgment instead of listening to the Lord's words, instead of listening to the Lord's actions, what the Lord has. This person felt empathy, saw that this prophet, and believed that this was a prophet, truly was being mistreated by these people, ever much so, and wanted to free this prophet. So in verse 11, so Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him up out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. These people, the people that were under Zedekiah, had tried to unalive Jeremiah, and that failed. And with these rotted rags, with the reflection of what these people were, was turned into something that helped Jeremiah. Something that they had done was turned by God's mercy, by God's love for his people, including a person that was not expected to understand the Lord's love, but understood it. And we wonder why what's going on now in the communities, and we wonder why what's going now in the fellowship, and we wonder why even now there's a reduction of people that are going to places of worship. We wonder why. And it's even spoken in here how Ebed-Melech, this person who didn't quite understand, supposedly, but understood more than all of the king's servants, including the king himself, and then told the king, look, this person should be saved. And the king, because he feared and he wanted a miracle, and he wanted to speak to Jeremiah again, he said, do it. Think about it in our lives. Think about the importance of the stranger. Think about the importance of a person that may show more of what it looks like to be living a life like Christ. Before we go on, though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?